Navigate the gauntlet of uncertainty the world throws at your business with SAP. Whether it's a tropical storm hitting your warehouse or a short supply of those little plastic twist ties, SAP can help you tackle those unexpected crushing setbacks with its AI-powered capabilities. To pivot to new suppliers, automate paperwork, and source the twist ties you need at the price you want, so your business can stay unstoppable. Learn more at sap.com/uncertainty.
Disney and Pixar's Elio has a new home. Now streaming on Disney Plus.
That's amazing!
Critics agree. Elio is fun and full of heart and humor.
These are the lava tunnels.
I am not fireproof!
Just get in my mouth.
Actually kind of comfy in here.
It is?
It's certified fresh and verified hot.
Ta-da!
Elio's bringing the whole family together on Disney Plus.
One, two,
2.5,
3!
Disney and Pixar's Elio. Now streaming on Disney Plus. Rated PG.
Welcome to the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel Q&A. My name's Doug. So the next sequel that we're covering is Tron Legacy. Perfect timing for the third installment, Tron Ares, I think, which is coming out on October 10th. Perfect lead-in for you. And for it, we talked to an actor who played Bartik in Tron Legacy. And X-Men Apocalypse, Fargo, even an amazing story about being in the Hendrix movie, the Wood Harris ones that me and my buddies would watch over and over again in high school because it was so good. And then I brought up a story of him thinking, oh my gosh, I was in another Hendrix movie that I don't even think got finished. and so much more. Actor Conrad Coates. Conrad was great. We talked about his journey, born in London, and then he grew up in Ottawa, and then just found his love for acting. So we talked about the early credits he had, landing a big role early on, right out of the gate. His love of sci-fi, because the genre, you can really do so much with it. Working with Jon Hamm on Fargo, and so much more. Now he has what's called Coates and Company, and what he's doing is acting classes and coaching. So really cool in Toronto. I'll put that link in the episode notes so you check it out. And he might be doing a podcast soon, talking to maybe some of the people in class, people that he worked with on other films. So lots of fun stuff. Conrad was awesome. I love talking to him. Before I start the interview, please like, rate, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Go on YouTube. We post a lot of the unedited videos. And we have no people working with us. It's so hard to keep a podcast afloat. You got kids, you got work, you got everything that you can't have time to edit. So they're unedited, which is good because even with the interviews, I try to keep them as raw and real as possible. As I look back early on, I feel like I used to edit so much and it just didn't sound natural. So I try to just make sure the guest sounds great without cutting stuff out. And Conrad, great stories. You're going to love him. So without further ado, here is actor Conrad Coates. So are you in Toronto? I know you have, is it Coates and Company? It's an acting school that you run?
Studio, yeah. Yeah, that's based in Toronto. I have my family here, I got children here, so this is my sort of home base at the moment. But yeah, I work wherever the set is, that's where you got to go.
Yeah, right? Is that where you grew up? Did you grow up in Toronto?
Actually, I was born in London, England.
Oh, wow.
Grew up in Ottawa, Canada. My mother had a brother there. So we moved there when I was young and was educated there. Went to school in Ottawa. Then when I was finished, then I started traveling across the country. I lived in the Arctic for a while. Lived in Western Canada for a minute. But Toronto is, sort of our entertainment capital here. But, I got work in the States, a member of SAG, all of that sort of thing. Where are you based? Where are you?
I'm in Jersey. I'm in New Jersey.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, awesome, man. No, I always love to find out, the beginnings of, where folks started. So, At what point was it while you were in London or was it when you were in Toronto? Like when did acting become something that you needed to pursue? What was that first introduction to that for you?
Yeah, okay. I never thought I would ever be like in this business on camera. Look through my family's albums, there's no pictures of me with a straight face. I was always like doing something silly on camera. I was like, literally very shy about always having my picture taken or being in the center of anything. That was not my thing. But then one evening I went to, we have a second studio, firehouse here in Toronto. And I was invited to go to a class. It was very sort of like impromptu, not doing anything that evening. And as I went to this class, I I like to say it was like the porcupine backing into the cactus and saying, "Oh my God, you," because that's what it felt like. I had like an epiphany. Uh, I I knew from the moment that I took this improv class, and as the evening went on, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I was doing other things before that. I was trying to be a pilot at one point.
Whoa.
I was running computers for the city of Edmonton, out west in Canada here. I was doing all these other things, but when I went to this class, I knew everything else doesn't matter. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of
So how old are you at this point? Are you like in your 20s, right? That you took this improv class?
Yeah, I was a young man. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome. I stayed in a hotel. Me and my wife got married. We got married in on Niagara Falls, but on the Canadian side. And then for a night, we went to Toronto, but we stayed right near Second City, like
Okay.
right across. It was a brand new hotel that probably was not even. I don't even know what was across Second City when you were there, but this is like it. Everything was like almost so brand new, and I forget the name of it. I feel like like a rooster was the logo on it, but it's
Okay.
like right across the street from Second City now. So that's pretty cool. So was there any instructors that you had there that were like that went on to do anything at that point?
No, no, they were, local boys. They were, the troop was good. Like the training, it's
Yeah.
still going. There's a troop there. They still have improv shows there. In fact, I was just
Yeah,
there
John
the other day.
Candy's son is still involved there.
Correct.
I think at the Toronto one.
I'm not sure about that, so I won't speak to that. But definitely, it's it was it was a good place for me to start. It was a good place for me to start. Though I left that and then went and did classical training right after because I realized that's what you need to know. I need to know, you know, story. I needed to know character development. I needed to understand, what a objective was, and that's not part of um, improv training. So I kind of like started at the end, but then I went back to the beginning and then became classical.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
So you do that, you're hooked. What was that next step? Where did you take classes? Where did you take acting classes?
So I mean, everybody at that point had already gone to theater school, the National Theater Program, some universities in Toronto, U of T, and YRCU at that time. I didn't do any of that. I started to do scene study classes at the local theaters here, Tarragon Theater mostly. There was a studio there, and so the actors that were training me, I was watching them on stage in town. So I would see people that I knew that I felt were good actors and could teach me something. And so I would just let them coach me. So if I was working on a show and I needed to know about clown, I went to Mr. Gilmore, a gentleman in town here who was like one of the best performers in clown, and did workshops with him. And I would just continue to keep moving around of all of these different instructors and got my base that way. Eventually made my way to the Stratford Festival, Shakespeare Festival in Stratford, Ontario. became a member of the Young Company, and that took me about 10 years to get there. After just doing theater, I just wanted to do theater. I didn't want to do film or television. Just wanted
Oh, so that's what it was in the beginning. You thought stage, that's where I'm at. So then how does that, because that's how I talk to a lot of actors, and that's how it begins, like that passion for the stage, because that's the easiest barrier, of entry, because you could do your local theater, whether it be like in school or like local, you can get involved in that. To get to that next step, it's like kind of, not that it's intimidating, but at least that first one, you're like, all right, I have sort of a chance, or I know how to do that. What was that change? Like, how did you change your mindset into stage, from stage to maybe TV and film? I'll try that.
money.
Money? Yeah, I know. That's obviously
You
true.
know what I
It
mean?
is
Like,
true.
my first apprentice gig on stage was like $150 a week. I remember, like, and then the show got held over, and so I just slowly went broke.
Yeah.
I took my savings just to do the show, but um, and then you have kids, and then you have real life situations that you want to
Yep.
develop, and so the theater wasn't going to sustain that. And I knew after I made it to Stratford, which to me was sort of like a professional goal, I wanted to really be strong in classical theater. After that, I started to audition for television. It was terrible because now you've got this big guy talking like this on camera. And the casting directors were like, no, like this, a little smaller. Can you make it smaller? I don't understand what you mean. And so it took me a minute to make the adjustment, but I finally got there. I remember panicking because, like, right after I left the theater, I got this series that was shooting in Vancouver, and I get the script, and I'm thinking, I've got to learn all these 30 pages like in 2 days. Like, I can learn lines, but I can't learn 30 pages in 2 days. And I had to learn technically how that all has to work. No, we're only shooting 5 pages, Conrad. That's all you need to. That's all you need to do the whole thing all at once. So it was these small adjustments that I got slowly better at. We'll say.
And Vancouver was hot at that time. That was like right at that, like the shows like 21 Jump Street was filming in Vancouver. So it was like a hotbed. Most of the Canadian actors I talked to, it's around this era. It's like, all right, it's mostly Vancouver. Is that where you found most of the work, or were there other things that you were able to get while in Toronto?
There was Battlestar Galactica. That became like the sci-fi center almost. Like there was just a lot of sci-fi content that was shot in Vancouver. The show that I was on was not sci-fi at the time, so I was doing something totally different. But I did find my way into the sci-fi world. There seems to be more opportunity to have more range of, I don't know, people of different color,
Yeah.
looks. You know what I mean? It just wasn't very like standardized. Sci-fi world seemed to be more welcoming to that. But there was an explosion. Yes, you're right. At that time, it was great. Actually,
Yeah.
quite busy.
What was the first job that you got? Because in like 89, and IMDb is never accurate in like the early credits, but it has like War of the Worlds, My Secret Identity, The Campbells are 3 shows you did in 89. Or any of those, one of your first jobs?
No, like those.
No? Okay.
That came even a little bit later. No, it was a Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, show called These Arms of Mine. It was more of like a family kind of a driven show. It was all, unabashedly about people living in Vancouver and their very complicated lives, and raising people, and and it was just very sort of family driven. It wasn't anything crazy. Did a couple of seasons with that. That's sort of where I started.
Okay, so right off the bat, you got a regular job, like a series regular.
Right off.
Oh, that's awesome.
The stage, it was, very fortunate. I have to admit.
Wow, that's really cool. So So do you remember, like, because like I said, those are the first three that are on IMDb because it's never like 100% accurate. But to get a regular, like a series regular right out the gate, that's pretty big. Do you remember like the first role that you had or a job that you were on that you were like, because obviously you fell in love, you were hooked, you did the improv class, this was something you wanted to do. But do you remember the role that you had or show you worked on that you were like, all right, I can do this for the rest of my life, like career wise?
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The Hilton sale is on. For 10 days only, you can save up to 20% on stays this fall and beyond. Don't wait. The sale ends September 29th. Book your stay and save at Hilton.com. Terms apply. Hilton for the stay.
Yeah, I can't really say that there was something like just one show because like These Arms of Mine was like a great opportunity. Like it was it was like my first, like it was strange. Like I didn't do like little small parts. Like I went right into this series regular lead role, like right
Yeah.
out the gate in my first show, which was really like unnerving. I know I've been really fortunate in my career that, at that time, I suppose even now, I just seem to get right where I need to be.
Yeah.
It hasn't been like a straight line to anything. Um, I even had Colin Fjord tell me at one point, people are going to look back at your career and go, wow, like you were so diversified. Like you went over here and you did this, and you went back over here and you did that. And it's like, I just went where the work was. And luckily,
Yeah.
it's varied. It's just very varied. And I get to play good guys and bad.
No, that's true. You go where the work is and you do what you can. Like all different things. Like you mentioned, like you did you've done like voiceover work on big time video games over the years. But what was your first role that you did early on that not challenging, but yeah, or what was the first like challenge? Was it like right out of the gate playing, like getting that series regular gig? Or was there a character or a type of character you had to play early on that you were like, this is something I really have to research, or that was so different that was kind of not difficult, uh, but that was like a challenge early on?
Oh man, I don't know how many credits I got up there. 100, I don't know.
Yeah, you have a ton of them. No, I know.
Yeah, and so like to kind of like just pull back and try to pick out something at that early stage. Like there were films, like there was one particular film. It's a short film, and that was actually like for this filmmaker, this personal project. He was from Haiti, and he wanted to tell this story of the earthquake in Haiti. And he was a man that was in love with somebody. He's from Haiti, and he comes to Canada, Montreal specifically, and is having an affair with this woman. And he's shot this thing in a way that the story was that the man loses his leg in the earthquake. And so we had to do a lot of the story is him rehabilitating without his leg. So there was like a green screen process. There was my leg would be like this. My leg would be an L, but at the bottom of the L, if I can do this properly, so my leg would be here properly, but we had like a little stunt fake prosthetic that I had to learn to walk with that would, flip out. And I was working with people who had actually lost their limbs. And so to learn how to like, even though I have my leg, to learn how to like move with this fake prosthetic and tell this story. Uh, that was like in the early, and that was like early in my career for me. That was a challenge, but it also opened a door into a world where people are having like real problems,
Yeah.
not just trying to tell a story. You know what I mean? And I was really humbled by that experience of working with these people because um, I think that sometimes we see people with disabilities and we kind of like push away, or we turn away, or we don't consider them to be part of society in a way that, we're able-bodied. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So to be with these people for a week and to work with them in this way was like
Is that
fun.
something you've done throughout your career? If you have a role and it's something that you're not too familiar with, even like a job, like you're going to play an attorney or something, do you reach out to get some
Oh
kind
yeah.
of background?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, very much so.
that's
I
awesome.
played a lot of cops, and one time I was playing like a it was an investigative like a detective. It's a murder, and you can read, and at this time, Reddit stacks and all that sort of thing weren't readily available. And I would just go to the police department, to the headquarters we have here. This is who I am. I would like to speak to a detective, and they kind of like look at you like, okay, that's a strange request, but then they are really happy to talk with you, like to share their experience with you, it's always been the case with me. There's been some science guys that I've reached out to, a couple of attorneys I've reached out to. Like I say, this homicide detective one afternoon, he just sat with me, and it was amazing. But I think it's anybody who also has a passion for whatever it is that they're doing. They see that you have a passion for what you're doing, you connect in this place because like all of a sudden it becomes like a genuine connection of wanting to share their lives. And I think that's what we're all interested in. Like that's why I'm here with you now. Like I'm sharing my life, right? You're interested.
Yeah.
So there's this simpatico relationship that happens, which is so wonderful. So now we're not just talking to a professional, like we're really talking to a guy who knows what it's like to lose sleep over a situation, who's dedicated to this craft and trying to find, the bad guy in this case, and is so, you just learn so much more about a person when you put it in the context that they're a human being trying to go through something rather than their profession. And that's the part that I find really fascinating.
You could bring that to the role. Like
Oh,
what
100%.
talking to a cop, you can get that, you soak it all in. Because there's some actors, yeah, like so involved in it. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to do that. I talked with one of my earliest people I chatted with like 6 years ago was Lenny Von Dolan, who passed away a few years ago. But he was on Twin Peaks and he played like a shut-in in the second season. And I asked him about like research and roles, and he talked about that one. And he was like, talking with a shut-in by phone and learning like what they do every day, like, and he was like really involved in it, like he lived it to play the character. And I think he's in like 3 or 4 episode arc on that season of Twin Peaks, but it's insane to watch how insane. And he told me, he's like, Doug, I kind of went crazy
Oh,
because I was really learning about what they were doing and they were telling me why they did it. And then I was like thinking about, okay, how can I do that? So when you watch him in the show, it's like he is obviously acting, but he is really like going a little crazy because he was kind of living that life to prepare for it.
yeah. Dangerous. That's a very
Yeah. Oh
dangerous
no, it
way to,
definitely is.
you
You see
know.
a lot of those people like, putting on a ton of weight, losing a ton of weight. So there's obviously pros and cons to it, but you can see how it
Yeah.
could really affect you, how extreme you can go with it.
Yep. You know, uh, I'm fortunate or unfortunate. I don't get those kind of roles where I got to do a whole physical transformation. If anything, it's like grow my hair or grow a mustache. Um, there's
Yeah.
not enough time in my kind of projects to, to make these transformations. Uh, I really feel like I'm a gun for hire. Um, Episodic television, sort of it's one of my favorite areas because it moves so quickly. The production moves so quickly. Um, but to have an opportunity to get into a role where you really, really to do a deep dive like that, of course, that's exciting. That's exciting.
Is there one, like, off the top of your head, if you could have like unlimited budget or like a magic wand, is there a particular role that you'd want to play that you could like fully dive into a character? Have you ever thought of that? Or do you write it all? Is there any characters that you're written for yourself in
I'm
scripts?
writing a little bit now. I'm really writing family stories. Like, it's like write what you know. Uh, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm writing really my own. What's fascinating to me about my own existence, right now, it's my mother. My mother passed away about 8 years ago now. And when I look at my mother's arc, like I'm into that as for writing. Um, but I was fortunate enough on Defiance, another sci-fi show. That character was brought in the third season, and then became the featured character for the season, which was exciting because I got to really build that guy from ground up, um, with the hair, like we're gonna have him with hair, no hair, and how we're gonna paint him because I was painted purple, with almost like cat coat markings on my skin, like so there would be like all of those markings were in my face and on my head, my hair eventually. But to build that character and then to work with Michael Nankin, the executive, just to find like the voice and the tone of where this character sits, that to me was one of the most exciting seasons I've ever worked on.
Yeah.
I'd be very interested in like I like trying to, because it's my theater background. I really think I like trying to figure out how does this guy walk. What is he doing? Like what are all the things? Not just learn the lines, say lines, be on the mark, and stay in the light. It's not as simple as that. I like to kind of take the time to figure it out. But a lot of the stuff that we do, audition Monday, get the part Friday, shoot next Thursday. You know what I mean? There's not a lot of time. There's no getting into the psychology of anything at that point. You're just trying to like hold on to what they're doing, where they're at, and what they want you to do in the process. So there's only time for that. It feels
Yeah.
like.
No, that makes sense. Especially, and like you mentioned before, you're a hired gun because they know that, all right, Conrad can come in and we know he's going to do his thing. Like you said, that turnaround, that can be kind of intimidating. The auditioning, getting the role and be like, all right, here's your PDF now. But it's like, here's your PDF of your thing. We'll see you Monday.
Yeah,
So that has to be a mindset that is difficult to be that guest star. Like in a month, you can work on 4 or 5 different shows, and that's got
exactly.
to be kind of intimidating.
It is because, like, I'm trying to bring something different. And when you're working at that speed, you don't have enough time to explore. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you really just got to get into the mindset, okay, like, what is the show and what is my role? There's the story, and then there's the story within the story, and that story within the story is my story. And it's only like this big. So I can't be trying to like reinvent the wheel or anything like that.
yeah.
It's going. The wheel's already going. So let's just get in there and put the suit on and play the guy. That's it. Just be yourself.
Yeah. So for Defiance, when you got that role, was that set up to be that long of a role, or did your character, they were like, oh, I really like the way Conrad's doing this, or was it because I think it's like 14 episodes you're in,
Yeah, like
ballparkish? Yeah.
in the final season. Yeah. So it was a Christmas. It was like 2 days before Christmas when I found out. And literally, I had auditioned like the week before, and then found out. I think it was like Christmas Eve, and I believe the contract said, yeah, you're going to be, guaranteed 12 episodes. Well, I ended up doing like,
Oh, okay.
12 days, and I ended up doing like
Oh,
40 days. And you could feel like, yes, how they were developing. They kept and that's what I'm saying. I really liked doing that role because I felt like I was
yeah.
part of the development process of the character, even though the story was supposed to be this. I could feel like they were giving me more responsibility, or we want the scene to go in a certain way. And so you could feel them kind of like morphing and changing that around, as we were shooting. And I don't know, some people say that was like their favorite season of the show who had been watching it for the 2 years. So, for me, I thought that was some of my best work on camera for sure.
Yeah, no, that's cool when you can organically be involved in it. It's so funny when you look at even some shows, you look back, like some characters that were only supposed to be on a few episodes and then they become they become woven into the fabric of the show because it's like, wow, this is really cool. Like, this is a cool character. We could do so many different things with it. So that's cool that you had that. Was there any other characters that sort of thing happened with? Like, I know you were on Expanse too, right?
I did the Expanse, you know, right. That's like the first show for me, like right after the pandemic. That was terrifying, to tell you the truth.
Working after the pandemic?
Oh, I was rusty as hell.
I'm
Um,
sure, yeah.
it was like, yeah, like I think I sat around for over 10 months, like
Yeah.
in my apartment on the couch, just eating bonbons and watching everything. And then all of a sudden I get this role and I'm doing a five episode arc. And I remember the first day I was like, couldn't get the words out. Like nothing was working. Like nothing was working. And I remember just being in my very tight latex costume, just soaking wet underneath. I was like like all day. Like I was just nervous, like all day long. It was not good. But the cast was really sweet to me. They were like, "Yeah, you're doing great." But to me, I just felt like I wasn't on the track. It really took like a few days to kind of like, oh yeah, there's that muscle. I got to get that muscle back.
Yeah.
That was tricky. And The Expanse is such a show. Uh, I wasn't really, really familiar with the lexicon. I think I'd watched it, maybe one or two episodes. But then by the time I get there in season 5, the story had moved on from where I was watching it. So there was like, I felt like I was behind, trying to talk to people about, okay, so what's going on now? And where are we in the universe? And why is this like this? There was a lot of work that I was really doing on my feet, like on set with the other actors, not even so much with the writers and the producer. With the actors, they knew it at this point, so it was just easier.
No, I talked to Michael Benyere, but he was on an earlier season. He was like just before COVID. He was on like 2019, so I don't know what that season that would have been, but yeah, that whole time, it's crazy that it's now over 5 years ago, but that was an insane time for everyone. It was really, when you really think about, I talked with God, I should know his name. Brian Thompson. He was in because one of the first movies that they were filming, like in the States, like during COVID, when they're trying to like get things done, it was a movie with Denzel and Brian Thompson had a small role in it. I can't think of what that movie was. Oh, it was like it was an old Greek, God, what the heck was the name of the movie? But anyway, he was talking about how insane it was. Like, they turned the Everybody Loves Raymond set into like the COVID testing facility. So like in that living room from the show, it was like, okay, this room is where they had chairs lined up. But it was just such an insane time because I don't know if Canada probably followed things a lot smoother than in the States, but yeah.
The film industry really was the safest place to be. It was the
Oh,
safest.
100%. Yeah.
Like we were tested within an inch of our lives all the time. We were swabbed every day before we went to set with rapid tests. You were, asked to isolate. I don't know how much people isolated, but I really,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to bring anything home. I didn't want to be at home and then bring something to set. Like I was terrified of being that guy.
Yeah, to shut down a set because because I talked to people, they were like, oh yeah, I did a role on the one guy I talked to, he was not even a named role. He played like guard on something, I think it was in Stranger Things. And he said, I had to go to Atlanta. I had a quarantine for 72 hours. I got paid while I was quarantining. I
Yeah,
went to set for a couple days and then I had to like wait in my hotel for a couple days till I could leave. And it was like, I was in a hotel most of the time,
right,
but no,
right,
but you saw watching shows and movies from that point. The one thing that you'll remember in 10, 15, 20 years when you're watching something and you're like, oh, was this shot during COVID? It's when there's no background. There's so many shows that
right,
you watched during that time. It was weird when you saw like a chase scene on a street and there was nobody on and it was weird that they didn't try to do, I don't know what they could have done, but you could really see it. That other Denzel movie, was it Jake Gyllenhaal? It was like a courtroom movie and there's like no extras in the movie. And it's very weird to watch now.
right. So like even here, what they were doing were hiring whole families.
See,
You
that's
got like,
smart.
yeah, like 3 children and teenager and mom and dad. You're all coming because they were already all, isolated together. So it was easier to get a group of people that way and just bring that family unit over to the set. Like that was that was going on quite a bit. But yeah, yeah, you're right. The sets were they were thin. They were
Yeah.
a lot
It
of
was just
like,
such a
let's
weird
shoot this in
time.
this room with these 2 people. And then, you're walking around with the mask on and then you take it off to be on camera and then put it back on to be when they stop the shot. It was, or, don't wear your mask, Conrad, because, you're just going to have like a line around your mouth this whole time. All,
Yeah.
yeah, COVID was crazy. I don't know if we've actually learned anything, but, the whole hand washing thing, I think that just like went out of the window when everybody just finally got sick and tired of like being clean. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a real thing. It happened.
Yeah. No, it was nuts. And is there a difference that you've seen like working on a Canadian production versus like a US production? So if you're on a show like Designated Survivor, are things run different? Is there like more people on a Canadian set versus an American set, or is there really no difference that you could tell?
No, no. Where you do notice it is if the production itself has more money. It doesn't matter if it's Canadian or American or British. Doesn't matter. If the production has more money, you can see where that is spent. You can actually
Yeah.
see where that is spent. You can see in the production values, of course. You can see it in the craft services, of course. We got more drivers to drive actors around. Like you see it in that way. But the protocol on the set and the professionalism of all the people in their different roles, that's 100% the same.
So how does the voice acting? We're like kind of bouncing around because obviously we're gonna have to talk about like every credit. That'd be impossible. But how did voice acting start? It looked like the first one was it Resident Evil 2, or was there something you did earlier with that?
Um, so again, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, uh, they do television and radio. It's our national service here. And there was these shows on Sunday mornings where we would read plays, uh, narrate from books. There's a lot. I got a lot of exposure from that, and people really liked the quality of my voice and how I was, how I read. And so I started in radio. That's actually where I started was in radio.
Oh, nice.
And I also, I'm not gonna say I have a journalism degree, but I was doing a little bit of journalistic work. Um, and so editing and writing for radio was like where I kind of started. Um, so I know my way around a microphone, and I really I enjoy it. It's so simple, you know what I mean? There's not a lot to memorize. You're just reading, but you still had to have like the sense of whatever the story was. So it was some time spent researching the material. But when it came to something like Resident Evil, um, and I'm doing other stuff for Ubisoft for other games now. I've really kind of gotten into that market because the voiceover stuff has seemed to have like dropped off. Now we're using like non-union people who have microphones in their basements and they've got like little mini
Yeah.
studios. And so that work is really kind of like drifted off to, I don't even know where it's gone, but that was a lot of fun. And, but I
Yeah.
do less and less of that. And now I'm doing more and more video game voices, which I love. Like I love that stuff. You just walk in, here's the material, and you just play. Like for me, like that is really like being in a sandbox.
Yeah. No, it's just always how people get into these different. It's like you're doing a job, and it's like, oh, you have a good voice. Let's see how you do. And Resident Evil 2 is like such a scary game. Like
It
it's
is.
like I was like
It is.
12 when it came out. I think that was the first game that was like very like frightening. That was a pretty scary game looking back on it.
Wow. See, I don't play the games. Like
Yeah.
it's very funny to me. Even like some of the students that I teach up at this local college here, they'll come in and they'll like rave all about gaming. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Occasionally, I get to go on YouTube and I'll look at some of the stuff and how it turns out or how people play it or whatever. But I'm not a gamer. I have no idea. But I'm just thrilled that I know it's like the new way of storytelling, and I can just sort of see like how films and are kind of like dropping off, and how games are becoming more of the way to tell stories. I mean, everything's got to change, but it's fascinating to see how that market, particularly that business, has really taken off over the last 10, 15 years. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah, I don't play video games anymore. With kids, it's impossible. And it would just collect dust. Because when is there time to be able to do that? But power to people that can have kids and do all that.
You have, and that's what you're admitting.
Yeah.
You don't have time. They have time. You don't have time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're in a lot of cool things that I really do enjoy. One was The Strain, because I love those books, and I thought FX did a really good job with it, and the casting were really cool. But you are in one of, no joke, and I don't know if people have mentioned this to you, but one of my favorite movies, and it holds up because I saw it a few years back, is Hendrix, the Wood Harris Hendrix movie.
Okay. Not familiar.
Well, it has you in it. Did you work on that movie?
On Hendrix? the Jimi Hendrix story.
Yeah.
Is that what you're speaking of? Yes.
Yeah.
There's so many. There's so many that
No, I know.
You started off with The
But
Strain and ended up with Jimi Hendrix. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Woody was chilling. Sorry, it took me a moment to kind of get that.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm with you on that, okay? Jimi Hendrix is one of my favorite artists. And Woody embodied him in a way that was chilling to see, man. Like, he was so good. Like, I'm just amazed that man's career didn't really take off, because he did, like, I saw small parts in little, films. Like, I was, the bellhop in a Jack Nicholson film, As Good as It Gets. Like, I was like going, like, you're over here, and now you're over here playing Jimi Hendrix. And first of all, he looked like Jimi Hendrix. He just this whole cool vibe down. And I remember one time we were, we'd stop because we were setting up for something, and we're sort of in the room. It's a scene before the Black Panthers meet with him, and I was one of the Panthers going in to meet with him. And we're just sort of like chilling. but there was a lot of people because it was like a concert situation. Jimmy was playing. There was a lot of people in this room, like I'm going to say a couple hundred. And the first AD started yelling, "Quiet, everybody, quiet." No, and he's doing it without a megaphone or anything. And it was like right beside us, and he's like yelling at all these people. And Woody just turned to him, so cool. He just turned to me and goes, hey, man, can we just not have that, man? Can we just bring it down, man? And he was so Jimmy, like it was frightening. And I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was fantastic in that movie.
Yeah.
A really sweet guy.
I'm surprised that didn't get more love because I don't know if that got a big wide release here in the States. I remember renting it from Blockbuster because I liked him because around that time was a couple of years before that was Remember the Titans. So I'm like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. And like to see him be able to play Jimi Hendrix, who I loved, it was still so good. Billy Zane's great in it. Vivica Fox is awesome.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
It was. I totally agree with you. Okay, so I don't even know if I started off like there was two Jimi Hendrix movies. It was kind of weird.
Well, there's the Andre 3000 one. I don't know if that's years after this, but
yeah, no. This was like right at the same time. So there was like I remember shooting Jimmy. I'm shooting it, and then all of a sudden it stops. And then I get this call going, okay, we're shooting Jimmy again. And I'm like, what do you mean we're shooting Jimmy again? You're like, we already shot it. No. Like, some people got fired and some people got hired. So we're doing it again. And then the next thing I know, I'm back in the second one. And then that's the one that got released. And all this other work on this other one, I don't know where it went, but it just like evaporated. It not even disappeared. It's like it was vaporized. It was like gone. And next thing I know, this one gets the love and the release, but I was really confused. For me, I was like, I thought we did this already, and then we were doing it again. So it was
that's the old Hollywood story with so many movies that you like some of these other podcasts that I listen to. They get this great research. There's one called Blank Check Podcast, and they have like some amazing research. And some of the things you always hear is like, it was probably a rush. Somebody said, oh, we have rights to, we're going to make a Hendrix movie. And somebody heard that and they're like, oh no, we're going to make a Hendrix movie. And it's like that race to see what can get out. Like studios copy each other all the time. You see those. So maybe that was the case. And the one production was like, shit, they're going to beat us. We're not going to try. Right. I don't know, but that's pretty wild.
You know what? That's a really good theory actually towards all of that, because think that there was a bit of that going on. Like I said, people got fired, people got hired, and I'm not sure if the production kind of like changed itself midstream of production during production. But
and then they probably wrote it off, and then nobody really talked about it because there wasn't like internet. Like it's pretty wild that they're finally putting out the Acme versus Wile E. Coyote movie because that got like buried with Batgirl. And then it became like this big thing, like, oh my God, they filmed this whole movie. Like, I forget the name of the girl that starred in Batgirl, but I'm like, how terrible is it for her? Like, you have this opportunity to be the star of a movie, even for, who else is, Michael Keaton's in that movie. So you won't see him as that version of Batman that he played in that. What the heck's the other? Brendan Fraser plays like a superhero in that. Never going to see the light of day. And for the star of that movie, that kind of sucks. Like maybe, hopefully they're nice enough to give her stuff for real for other auditions. But that's like a big deal. But that and the Wile E. Coyote movie happened at the same time. And then I guess finally, like they're like, all right, fine, we're going to release this Wile E. Coyote movie.
Wow.
Because
that would have some dust on it, I think. And
totally.
I would never see the Wile E. Coyote story as being the story. It's the Roadrunner.
And it's like a courtroom drama. The movie is kind of like a courtroom drama starring Will Forte. And I don't know exactly. I think the trailer might have just released at Comic-Con like yesterday, but yeah, that whole behind the scenes things about movies that you never really know about until obviously you're involved, unless you're involved in it and read about it years later. But Hendrix and another one that you're in, I don't know how many days you worked on it, but Who Killed Atlanta's Children? I never even knew about that story growing up, but obviously it was a serious thing. It was on the season of Mindhunter, the last season of Mindhunter, covered that. And then like a week later, I interviewed Michael Grace, who was a producer on that. And he was the writer of Poltergeist, a bunch of other movies in the 80s. But I talked to him like that next week. I'm like, oh my God, I never even heard of this. And then he told me the reason he got behind that, because nobody really talked about that whole story, that all the, black children in Atlanta were going missing. And it was the Klansmen were doing it. That's crazy.
I played, FBI guy on that. And that, again, it's one of those things that was quite a while ago, but I do remember the story of the Atlanta missing children. That was a big deal. But my role was a smaller role.
Yeah, no, it's just crazy, these stories you never hear about in the news. Now it's like you almost get too much news because there's so many outlets that are reporting on stuff, and there's social media, and there's there's almost like too much information in a sense.
Yep.
But
I
that was quite the fascinating story.
Yeah, I find that I got to take a break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
you have to.
I just found like it's just been in the last few months. I mean, it's just ratcheted up globally, not just in your backyard or our backyard up here, like globally.
Yeah.
And then just throw in a couple of storms. Take out a power line and turn the temperature up to 100 on top of it. And I've just like kind of gone, okay, you know what? I'm only going to listen to jazz this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to let people tell me what's going on in the world, but I have a feeling I know what it is. But I'm just listening to jazz this week and making sourdough bread. I am definitely.
That's a good bumper sticker. Turn off the news, turn on jazz. And then that'd be like a good mantra for people, because it does get you very stressed out. Like it could be a conflict that's going on other side of the world that 99% it's not going to affect us, but it's still like, oh my God, dude, like how do I do this normal fun thing in my life when I know that this tragedy is happening in another side of the world? It's like this, it's really hard. Like, I guess what is it? Ignorance is bliss. Because when you don't know about that stuff, you don't have to worry about it. But then when you finally think about it,
I know. Of course. And it's wrong, right? Be like, come on, like we're supposed to have empathy and support, and we're all living on the same spaceship. But it's not like that. It really is.
Yeah. So do you have any so like a recent show like IMDb? Obviously you're always working, but Revival is one that's out now.
Yeah.
You're in a couple seasons of Fargo.
Yeah. Well, one season, I did the last season of Fargo, the 5th season with Jon Hamm and Gino Temple. That was fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And again, like that was towards, the second year of the pandemic. I spent a lot of time in my hotel room, man. Like a lot of time in my hotel. That's when I actually started like really writing. Because I'd be out there. We shot that in Calgary, and we'd be out there, and there's no place to go. And at that point in Calgary, people stopped wearing masks. They're just sort of like, okay, we're done. And I could not. I had to wear my 3-ply, 5-ply mask. Two of them. And so I'd go out. I'd be like, I felt like the only human in the city with a mask on, and I could just feel the what's up? Bad word. What's up? Why are you wearing? I was just like, okay, let me just stay in my hotel room and order room service. It's so much easier. No, Fargo was a fantastic experience. Noah Hawley is a genius. And Gino Temple, Jon Hamm, what a pleasure to work with both of those actors. So hard, worked so hard. And told a great story. Like that season is fantastic. Really good.
So Conrad, early on in your career, did you have anybody like give good advice to you? Like when you're early on working, you're on your early sets. Did you ever have anybody pull you aside that you could remember, like, hey, they gave me this good note, or was that something that was done? Because obviously you think about acting, obviously when you're on a job, like you're in your character, I'm my character. So there's no way that, but still, it's no matter what. It's like, I still want to look better. There's a mindset of I want to look better than you, even if you're not outwardly doing that. There's a famous story with Michael Caine talking about asking for advice. I forgot what actor he asked advice from. But the guy was like, I'm not going to tell you anything because I don't want you taking my next job. And it's like, shit. It's like, that's kind of, it is obviously messed up. But did you have that early on? People offering advice?
Nobody offered me anything.
No.
No, what I did learn really early, and this is again coming out of my theater background. I was an actor here in this country. Martha Henry, like the grand dame of the stage. She advised me, like, like really early on. I would have to say that she's my mentor. She was passed away a couple of years ago. And she said, when you get to the set, or you're in the rehearsal hall, you find the one actor that you like, and you just watch them. You just focus on everything that they're doing. Like watch their preparation, watch how they're trying to find their way into the character, watch how they take notes, uh, watch how they treat other people, other actors, other departments. Just watch them. And I have taken that to heart 100%. So there are many actors that I really like that I am, and there's some that I've never even worked with. But their ethic affected other people. So I would be on a show. As an example, Chow Yun Fat. So that's a very simple example. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And he's the star of the show. He was the producer of the show. And he would work a whole day. And then he would stand at the door to the studio, the exit, and shake hands every single day with every single crew member and thank them as they left. That humility is, I've taken that. That's one of the pages that I've taken out of his book, and I now have in my book. It's hard enough as it is. The days are long. You know what I mean? Anywhere from 12 to 16 to 19 hours sometimes. I've had that situation. And, everybody just wants to get out of there. But this man would take the time to thank everybody else who's making like a tenth of what he's making, and shake hands with them, and do it day after day after day after day for months. There's things like that. Jon Hamm, sitting with him, we spent a lot of time together. When he was telling me, when his big break was really Mad Men, and his work ethic, how he had to dial that up because, he just said, okay, yeah, Monday to Friday, camera's rolling, great, I'll take the weekend off. But then he realized, then they started to get into it. He would just, Friday night would come, he would have like a car pick him up. He would go to this restaurant that was already booked, and he would have a nice meal. And then he'd wake up on Saturday morning, and boom, he'd be like right back into the next episode and learning. He had Mr. Draper had a lot of speeches. His work ethic, like I really learned from him how he had to like shift gears, from a supportive spot to a lead spot, and how he had no time to himself, like when he was doing that show. And as the show progressed over the seasons, like it became even more so incumbent on him to be even sharper every time that he hit the set. So, everybody has a different lesson that I can learn from. So like I said, I'll pick one person and I'll just really like watch how they work. Sometimes it's like the director, like how the director like talks to actors, like how they give their notes, or how they get people to respond to them, to be brave enough to do what the director is asking them to do. Like that's a skill as well. You know what I mean? To give from my end anyways, an actor confidence, or allow a camera person to go, I've got a great move I can pull right here, and he'll go, just do it. And then we'll look at it, like just to have that kind of community around you. That's a joy to allow yourself to, like I say, be brave, because being creative is not for the faint of heart, man. Like it's courage to
Because
kind
you're
of
putting yourself out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're really putting all your emotion out there when you're saying, can I try something? It's like, all right. And I think no matter what, like a director, they say, even if it doesn't get in the script, even if a director's like, hey, try this, how you'd want to do it.
Exactly.
Is it going to make it in it? Most likely not, maybe, but you're giving that actor, hey man, this guy really wanted my input. So there's like all those things you never know. Like you mentioned, like the Chow Yun Fat story, and like the actors that do that, I'm not saying all the movies they make are successful, but I think if you're watching it back, it's more cohesive, because there's people, not to mention any names of actors or anything, but I've heard stories like, yeah, we really didn't see him on set until, it was his time to, his scene, he'd walk in at the last second and then he'd leave and he'd go like to his gym that they built for him. It's like, oh, wow. Obviously that's later in the person's career. You think of the early movies are really good, and then you think, oh, that movie sucked. Would it have sucked if he was more involved? I don't know. But it is crazy to think of these. It's almost like I don't know. It's like, I always think of Steven Seagal. Like he is like this very odd, like experiment, if you think about it, because he showed up, did his demonstration at Warner Brothers. They said, oh my God, this guy's going to be our guy. And it kind of hurt him that, in a sense, that it worked. So he's like, I'm going to keep acting the way I am. Because even like when he was in that first 5-6 movie run that was so successful, he was already at the point, like, I'm going to punch this stunt guy in the face, kind of on purpose to be a prick. And then later in his career, it's even crazier. I talked to a director that worked with him and is friends with him, and he was like, he's like, I'm not bashing, I'm telling the truth. He like just doesn't show up on set. He has a body double for any shots that are like far away shots. And it's like, come on, you're already there. Why not just like, but I get it. But because he got away with it early on, just like it got worse and worse, and you can't rein him in.
No. Like I was just watching an interview with Kirsten Scott Thomas, and one of the things that she spoke about, that of course, like this is one of the things that stuck with me as I'm saying it now, is that you have to be generous. You have to be generous. You can't be selfish, particularly as an actor. Like you're not giving anything, and you're not showing up, and I had an actor not recently, I don't do other people's coverage. Swear word, yelling, screaming. Buddy, you need to stand beside the camera and let me do my coverage. No, I'm not doing it. And he would like sit on a desk and just like throw out lines, and I just kept moving off my mark. Like I'm trying to get the producers involved in here to kind of go, I'm not going to be talking to the cameraman's fist, you know what I mean? And him sitting over there seeing his lines. And now, like, what does that do for me? And to not be generous of spirit. And that's probably part of the problem in this world. Nobody wants to be generous anymore. It's like, it's mine. This is me. This is for us. And that's it. And as far as it goes, like, that's why we're in the crap world that we're sitting in right now. We really got incredibly selfish, and we need to be more generous. So when people start to do stuff like that, I don't take that lightly. I really don't.
Yeah.
It's not even about being raised this way or that way or believing this, that, or that God or anything like that. It's just like, come on, we're in this together. Is that not clear that we're in this together? Yes, you're going to pay more than me, and yes, you're going to have more days, but I'm here for you, so can you just be here for me for like 10 minutes? This is all this is going to do.
It's the golden rule. That's what I remember my golf coach, and then he was my science teacher before that, but the golden rule, treat others how you want to be treated. And I try to teach my kids that, because it is such a simple concept, but like you can't expect to treat people like crap, or not, especially with kids, not listen for like, hey, can you pick that up? And they don't listen. But then 10 minutes later, Dad, can you get me this? And it's like, well, I'm not going to jump because you didn't jump for me. And it's like this, it's a hard thing to teach, but it's something, like you said, just on set, I couldn't imagine like not giving somebody else that same respect for a scene that you gave to them. So did you start the acting like Coates and Company? Was that something you started because you wanted to like give? It is giving back. Obviously, that's
Yeah,
something that is
it is.
a,
It's
a
more of
business.
that.
It's a business, but
Yeah,
it's like you're giving back. Like, here's what I learned over the years, because it's the best to learn to somebody that's done it for so long than just to go to acting school. Not saying somebody that acted 40 years ago that stopped can't continue teaching, but you're not sharpening your tools because you're not on new sets. Like, what's going on now?
right, right. Okay, so why I started that was because I went through a really bad breakup, and I thought I was kind of like losing my mind, and I didn't understand what the hell was going on, and I didn't want to like sit down with my friends with another bottle and talk it out with myself. And so I put myself into psychotherapy, and as I was in psychotherapy, trying to work through my stuff, um, there was something that the therapist did one day that just felt like voodoo magic. Like it just was like so, like they just got me into the state like that. And I was like, how'd you do that? And, well, you study psychotherapy, na, 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 na. So I did. So I signed up for this program, and I was studying psychotherapy part-time for over 3 years. The only thing I didn't do
Oh my
was
God.
apply, but I know the reading of a lot of that. And to pay for it, I thought, well, why don't I had my third child at that point? Why don't I start this studio? Then I'll have some students on the side. That to pay for education. And and I just kept it up. But even before that, I was working with these inner city kids as well. I mean, we've been through this training program. It was like 16 weeks every Saturday for 4 months, and it culminated with a performance during Black History Month. And these kids, we gave them transportation money, hot lunch while they were with us, and they were trained in singing, dancing, some drumming, and then they came with me. So that was sort of like in the morning until lunchtime, and then in the afternoon after lunch, and everybody's like full. Then they came with me, and I would create a story with them. So I was like a dramaturge, co-writer, and then I would eventually direct them on stage. Um, so after doing that, working with those kids, like I really, uh, it's odd to say, but I discovered how much I enjoyed teaching, and people would understand like what I was imparting. Like it wasn't some high level thing that they'd have to like now go off and reinterpret what I said. Like as my girlfriend always says, like you chew the food, like you chew the food and you just like put it in their mouth.
Yeah.
And so that became a passion. Then I got an opportunity to teach at this college here in town. So I've taught a couple of thousand kids just out of there, and then out of my own studio. And I see what happens on set. I see where the gaps are in the person's understanding. I see what they're not doing, where they're not getting to, why they're not getting there, and I know how to get them there. I'm not going to say it's a gift, but it's just really something that I enjoy. I love turning somebody on to something. Like that's there's no bigger charge actually than like giving somebody something and then watching them go, oh my God, that's the key that I was missing. And then they get it
Yeah.
and then you see them doing it. Like that's a thrill, man. Like that's a huge thrill. Like I've almost cried in my classes sometimes just because I see like somebody like go through a barrier, like a personal barrier. Or because of my psychotherapy training, I can also tell like they're stuck, or I can watch cues. I can see something not working, and then I'll pull them apart, take them from the class, and everybody's gone. And I go, okay, this is what I see. what's going on, and then they just break down crying, and I realize, oh my God, this kid's in trouble. Um, so there's so many levels to what I'm doing these days that the teaching is like icing in some respects.
Do you find that if you critiqued your own like self, would you say that you're a better actor since you taught? Because it's one of those things like if you could teach something, you can understand it more. Have you felt that? Yeah.
100%. Like I heard you say golf, so I'm going to go over there now. But it's like I can teach somebody how to hit the ball. Like within 20, 30 minutes, I can have them like hitting the ball up in the air, like no problem.
Mhm.
And I don't know where that ability comes from, because like I was a really terrible student when I was in school. I think I still am a bad student sometimes. But I know how to get somebody else. I can motivate somebody else to do something. Even my own kids, like I can motivate them to do stuff. And they listen, you know what I mean? And they also like, oh wow, now I know why you like that, Dad. That's amazing. Because I know I've affected them in some way. And that's what's better than that, Doug? Come on.
I don't know. Are they getting into acting? Do they have the acting bug or
No, sir.
not at
Shoot
all?
that away from me. No, like it's work. Like, what do you mean you got to learn like 8 pages? What are you doing? I don't want to do that. Like, they love coming
Yeah.
to the craft truck, but they're sitting around and waiting all day. Like, they hate all that stuff. They really do. They're doing their own thing, and I'm really happy about that. But the
That's
passion,
awesome.
it's always about the passion. Just love what you're doing. I don't really.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso and Samra Origins by the Weekend Coffee Collection.
Introducing Samra Origins. My collaboration with Nespresso is a connection to my roots, to my mother, Samra. Coffee that hits the right notes. It transports you. Crafted with unique notes and bold, soaring flavors. Experience a taste that moves you. Nespresso and Samra Origins.
Discover more at Nespresso.com.
Yeah, that's my old man always said, like, no matter what you do, just give 110%. Like, that was his thing. His thing was always, he was a garbage man, but he was like sports wise. It was like, no matter what it was, sport or anything creative, like he'd be like, just do it. Whatever you do, just give all your effort. Cause you never know if you're going to be able to do this again, or, tomorrow's never promised. So like from a young age, I always thought of that, not like fearing like something bad's going to happen to me, but it was more like, oh shit, like, you know what? Why not? Like, you never know, I might not be able to play tomorrow. So it's a good, whatever you're going to do, have it be passion, involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You must enjoy. Like, I do consider myself to be blessed because I love what I do. Like, I'm meeting you and we're talking about this, and I've got an email from you. That's as far as our history goes. But at the same time, this is like one of the this is a great moment that you and I are sharing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that can't manufacture that. It's only happening because we're connected at this time and space and this technology. Like, what's better than that? Like, nothing.
I know. I love it. It's something like people sometimes are like, oh, do you do this for a living? And it's like, no, there's a million podcasts out there. I'm an accountant, but these are the things that make everything else so worth it. Like this, like hour and a half conversation, this is something I'm going to think about for the rest of the day. And it's like in a good way, because I love learning about people, like what makes them tick, because it is such an, not saying I couldn't interview anybody in their other career, but there's something about working in TV and film, because it's such a weird thing. it's such an unrelatable in the sense of like the people that do it. Like I helped an actor write a book, and we were talking about like some of the things that people like, oh, actors and people like complain about these things, but they are like weird things. Did you imagine having a job that even me being an accountant, it's like, all right, Doug, you're gonna sit in your office for 10 hours, and then maybe in like 11, we're going to have you come out, you're going to do a tax or something corny. Like you're going to do a tax return, then you're going to be done for the day. It's like, it's kind of weird. Like I'm just sitting there, like, obviously you're brushing up your lines or resting or something, but it is a weird thing that I feel like only people within that industry can really sort of relate. Like,
Yep.
so it's kind of like this funky. Yeah.
There's a great truth to what you're saying. And, my closest friends are not actors. They're non-actors. They're artists in other areas, in designing, fashion, and advertising. Like these are my best friends. That kind of keep me grounded for real. But I have no. I'm not thinking. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Like that's never in my. It's not in my wheelhouse of thinking. I think we all just have jobs, and fortunately, I'm in this job, and yeah, you get to see me on TV, but yeah, thank you for making me, the common man, because that's how I see myself.
So this has been awesome. One of my favorite questions to ask folks, because I always think like you never know, you never like have the wherewithal in life to think of like important moments sometimes. And like early on in your career, do you remember like taking like scripts or a piece of wardrobe or like any mementos from sets over the years? Or is that something you're like, that's just more stuff? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, mementos for sure. Scripts, I used to keep the scripts. Until they started to like download it.
That's true. Now they're all PDFs.
Now you get it on a, you get it in an email, and before they used to, every time they would have a different version of the script and a different color, and someone would drive it over and drop it off, and that was all grand. And then they slowly started to like not do that, and now you just got scripts on your computer. So now I work off of a pad, so there's no that. But I do keep mementos for sure. If I can purchase parts of my wardrobe, a prop here or there, if there's a set sale, if I can get in on that secret, that would be awesome. Sometimes I would, if I'm getting a great part, I will take the pen that I used throughout the whole production, like just like things like that. I was in New Zealand working on a Disney show. New Zealand is famous for its lamb's wool. Well, I get the undershirt. There's little things that I do kind of like keep. So like I have my ears when I was a Vulcan on Star Trek. A little
that's cool.
That I have. Drawings, concept drawings from Defiance. I got like set drawings from Defiance that I've kept. Stuff like that, and it's for me, but I also, I tell my kids all the time, like when I'm gone, there's YouTube. There's so much you haven't seen, so and my son kind of like he laughed at me one day, and he's close to 20 now, and kind of like, no, Dad. I went on YouTube and started just like looking at your stuff, like when you had hair, before I was born, like things like that. And it's I'm kind of choked up about that because like, I didn't know my father. I don't know my grandparents or anything like that. So it's really it's sort of, we've come a long way in knowing that I can kind of have that. They'll have that. They'll still be able to look at that.
That's true. I think about that. My dad didn't have his father. He passed away when he was really young. So I think about that all the time, and I always think, even though this is something like these conversations, I think they're always cool because no matter what, I don't know what is gonna. I know we're gonna obviously talk about acting, and we're gonna talk about like parts of someone's career, but I never know what other things are gonna be talked about. But I always think like, wow, you know what? I wish I had like. Because I have like almost like 380 episodes of this. Not saying my kids or my wife would want to go back and listen to it. But honestly, I only have, because we didn't have a video camera when I was growing up. Obviously, I have photos, but I don't have like a ton of audio or video of my dad. So like I have old voicemails I saved when he passed away like 4 years ago. And like I have that portion of it. But oh my God, it'd be so good to have. It's cool that your kids are thinking about that and like looking at that. Because it is always cool because you have being an actor and having like video footage of you. Like there's a moment in time. Oh, okay, I can remember the way Dad looked at that time or how I looked at that time because you have that to go back to. But yeah, no, that's cool that your kids are thinking about that. One of my favorite responses I ever got when I asked that question about mementos was Stuart Penkin, big time character actor. He looked off camera and he just stared and he goes, "You know what I'm looking at?" And I go, no. He goes, "A closet." He goes, "You know what's in that closet? A stack of scripts that go to the ceiling." And he goes, "I'm gonna give it to the kid that I don't like." And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, all right. So it's like some of the stuff people do keep, like cool stuff. There's one guy I talked to who was in a lot of bigger movies in smaller roles, but he had all the parting gifts. Like the end of set gifts, like the shirts, like he had this really rad jacket he got working on Cliffhanger. He gets killed by Stallone in it. I'm like, those are pretty cool. But I get it's like some stuff is too much stuff. So it's like the happy balance of getting that item, like you said, like, that you have that memory with. It might be something that's so small that someone else looks at it. It's like, oh, it's just a glass, but it's like, this is like in a very important scene that I did. Oh, yeah. And you kept that little piece.
Yeah. Like I still have my hat from Fargo.
Cool.
Hat, and like every once in a while I'll pull it and I go, I'm going to wear this today. I'll wear it. It's pouring rain in the city and I got this beautiful like raincoat, it's very like very high tech, modern black sheer raincoat, and I go, yeah, this cowboy hat's gonna look great with this, and I'll wear that. But nobody knows where the thing comes from, but it's special and it fits. It's on my head.
Yeah. So this has been awesome, Conrad. Where are you at right now? Are you in England or are you in Toronto?
I'm in Toronto right now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, waiting for the next thing.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm happy we connected. This has been a lot of fun. I love just learning about folks, and thanks for sharing your story with me.
Thank you, Doug.
Man, Conrad was great. It was so cool to talk to somebody that worked on that Hendrix movie because of how awesome that was. And it's so great that he even appreciated and provided some really cool behind-the-scenes stories with Wood Harris and how he embodied Jimi Hendrix even when the camera was not rolling. He was awesome. So good. So your homework, Tron Legacy. It's on Disney Plus. Got to check it out. And I can't wait to see it. I've seen the original one before. I love Jeff Bridges. I feel like the bad guy in that movie is Grandpa from The Lost Boys in the original. Pretty sure. And the hot chick from Caddyshack. She's in the original Tron. So if you want to do all Trons, go for it. Do Tron, the original, listen to Tron Legacy, listen to our review, and then go to the movies 10/10 to see the new one. I don't know why I'm promoting it, but it's perfect timing. Sometimes things work out perfectly. So don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only, and don't forget to check out our website, sequelsonly.com. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
ABC Wednesday, Shifting Gears is back.
He has arisen.
Tim Allen and Kat Dennings return in television's #1 new comedy.
What?
With a star-studded premiere including Jenna Elfman, Nancy Travis, and...
Hey, buddy!
A big home improvement reunion.
Welcome.
Oh, boy.
That guy's a tool.
Shifting Gears, season premiere Wednesday, 8/7 Central on ABC, and stream on Hulu.